Imagine this. You walk into a room and without saying a word, every eye is on you. People don't just notice you, they feel your presence. They remember you long after you've gone, not because you shouted the loudest or made the most noise, but because of something far more powerful, something only a few men ever master. Silence? No, that's not enough. There's a strategy far greater, one that's been hidden, overlooked, and underestimated for centuries. Today, I'm not just revealing it to you, I'm handing it to you. It's time to stop being invisible and start being unforgettable. Stay with me till the very end, because this strategy will change everything. But before we dive in, comment below, "I am ready to master presence," and let's begin this transformation together. Men today are struggling in ways that are both obvious and hidden. You feel it, don't you? The disconnect, the frustration, the sense that no matter what you do, it's never enough. You're told to stay quiet, be humble, don't rock the boat. But how's that working out? In your relationships, in your career, in how the world sees you, silence has left you unseen, unheard, and misunderstood. It hurts, doesn't it? Watching others get ahead while you're left wondering, what am I missing? But here's the truth. You're not like most men. You're here because you know there's more. You can feel it deep in your gut. A potential, a power, a fire that's waiting to be unleashed. And today, we're going to light that fire. This isn't just about being quiet or staying calm. That's basic. That's what they tell everyone. What I'm about to share is for men who are ready to step into a league of their own. Men who are tired of being ignored, overlooked, and underestimated. This is about commanding respect, owning the room, and leaving a mark so deep that people can't stop thinking about you. Silence alone won't get you there, but the strategy I'm about to share will. So buckle up, because by the time we're done, you won't just understand power, you'll embody it. Number 1. The power of silence. Silence is the birthplace of strength. It's where control begins, where self-mastery takes root. The world is filled with noise, endless chatter, meaningless words, and attention-seeking desperation. Silence isn't just the absence of noise, it's a declaration. It says, I don't need to explain myself to you. My existence speaks louder than your words. But here's the deeper truth about silence. It's not just about what you withhold. It's about what you make others feel in its absence. Silence forces people to turn inward, to confront their own thoughts, fears, and insecurities. It's a mirror that reflects their weaknesses while amplifying your strength. This is why silence is feared by the weak. They can't handle it because it makes them feel exposed. Imagine this. You're in the middle of an argument. Their voice rises, their words turn sharp, and they're waiting for your reaction. But you don't give it to them. You hold your gaze. You stand firm. You let their words fall into the void of your silence. Do you know what happens next? They falter. Their confidence cracks. They start questioning themselves. And in that moment, you've won, not by shouting louder, but by saying nothing at all. This is the power of silence. It's not passive, it's active, it's intentional. It's a weapon that disarms without striking, a fortress that protects without walls. But silence isn't just about winning arguments, it's about creating space. Space for clarity, space for control, and space for power. Think about the greatest leaders, the most influential figures in history. Were they the ones constantly talking, always explaining themselves? No, they were the ones who spoke less and said more. Their silence wasn't a lack of words, it was the presence of purpose. When they spoke, the world listened, and when they didn't, the world wondered. That's the kind of silence you need to master, not the silence of avoidance, but the silence of dominance. In relationships, silence can be your greatest ally. Most people argue to be heard, to prove a point, to win. But the moment you argue, you've already lost. Arguments are a battlefield of egos, and silence removes you from the fight entirely. When you stay silent, you deny them the satisfaction of a reaction. You rob them of their power. They can't escalate if you refuse to engage. Silence says, "I'm above this. I don't need to prove myself to you." And that, my friend, is how you win. Not by fighting, but by refusing to fight. But silence does something even more powerful. It makes them reflect. When you don't respond, they're left alone with their words. They start replaying the argument in their head, questioning their own actions, their own motives. They start to wonder, did I go too far? Was I wrong? Your silence forces them to confront themselves, and that's a battle they're not prepared for. Silence also works in ways that are deeply psychological. People are conditioned to fill gaps, to avoid discomfort. Silence creates a gap so profound, so unsettling, that they can't help but try to fill it. When you stay quiet in a conversation, in a negotiation, in a moment of tension, the other person feels compelled to speak. And in their desperation to fill the silence, they reveal themselves. Their insecurities, their intentions, their weaknesses, they all come spilling out. And you, in your silence, become the one in control. Think about the modern world for a moment. It's loud, chaotic, relentless. Everyone is screaming for attention, on social media, in relationships, in life. They think the louder they scream, the more they'll be heard. But you're different. You don't scream. You don't beg for attention. You command it. Not with words, but with presence. Silence is what separates you from the noise. It's what makes you stand out in a world of desperate voices. And when you master it, you become unforgettable. But silence is more than just a tool for power. It's a tool for self-mastery. When you stay silent, you're not just controlling the situation, you're controlling yourself. You're training your mind to resist the urge to react, to rise above your emotions, to choose power over impulse. And this, my friend, is where true strength lies. Because in the end, it's not about silencing them, it's about mastering you. And yet, silence has its limitations. It's not enough on its own. Silence is the spark, but it's presence that lights the fire. Silence creates the space, but it's presence that fills it. And this is where most people get it wrong. They think silence is the end game. They think staying quiet is all it takes to win. But silence without presence is just emptiness. It's passive. It's forgettable. And you are not here to be forgettable. You are here to be remembered, to leave a mark, to walk into a room and have every head turn, not because you're loud, but because your energy is undeniable. Silence can't do that on its own. It needs presence, and presence is what transforms silence from a tool into a weapon, from a defense into an offense. Presence is what makes your silence speak louder than their words. But before we get to presence, you need to master the art of deliberate silence. This isn't the silence of avoidance, of hesitation, of fear. This is the silence of purpose, of intention, of strength. When you choose silence, it must be a choice, not a default, not a retreat. It must be a statement, a declaration. And every moment of your silence must radiate power. The next time you're in an argument, a negotiation, or any situation where emotions run high, don't just stay silent. Own your silence. Make it intentional. Make it powerful. Hold their gaze. Stand tall. Let your silence speak for you. Let it say, I don't need to prove myself to you. I don't need to explain myself. My presence is enough. And then watch as the balance shifts, as they crumble under the weight of their own words, as your silence becomes the loudest voice in the room. Number 2, the limitations of silence. Silence isn't the savior you think it is. Yes, it's powerful. Yes, it can make people wonder, even respect you. But silence, when misunderstood, can destroy everything you've built. Relationships crumble, opportunities vanish, respect fades, all because silence by itself lacks one crucial element: clarity. And let's face it, in today's world, silence is often taken as weakness. You know this. You've lived this. Think about the last time you chose to stay silent. Maybe it was in an argument with someone you care about. You thought your silence would diffuse the tension, that it would make them rethink their words. Instead, they took it as indifference. They felt ignored, hurt. Your silence wasn't seen as strength. It was seen as a wall, shutting them out. And that wall, it didn't protect you. It isolated you. Or maybe it was at work. You stayed quiet in a meeting, thinking your silence would make you seem composed, mysterious even. But what happened? They overlooked you. They assumed you had nothing to offer. Your silence didn't make you stand out. It made you invisible. And invisibility is the death of influence. You've been told that silence is golden, but no one talks about its dark side. Silence leaves too much to interpretation. It's like a blank canvas, and people will paint it with their assumptions. And those assumptions, they're rarely in your favor. Silence can be misunderstood as apathy, arrogance, even fear. It can create distance where you wanted connection, doubt where you needed certainty. Silence by itself is incomplete, and in its incompleteness, it becomes a weapon against you. Think about relationships. Emotional intimacy, the kind that makes people feel safe, seen, and valued, isn't built in silence. It's built in presence, in connection. When you stay silent during a fight, thinking it's the high road, you're not creating peace, you're creating confusion. They don't hear your reasoning, your intention. They only feel the absence of your voice, and that absence, it hurts. It plants seeds of resentment. Silence might end the argument, but it doesn't heal the wound. And in the professional world, silence can cost you everything. The boardroom, the negotiation table, the critical conversation with your boss. These aren't places for passive silence. When you don't speak up, you're not protecting your value, you're hiding it, and what's hidden is often forgotten. Opportunities aren't given to the quiet. They're given to the bold, to the ones who make their presence felt, their ideas heard. Silence, in these moments, isn't strength. It's a liability. But let's go deeper. Silence, unchecked, can turn into avoidance. And avoidance is the breeding ground of regret. You avoid the hard conversations, the ones that could save a relationship, salvage a friendship, or set boundaries at work. You avoid expressing your needs, your desires, your truth, because you're clinging to the illusion that silence protects you. But does it? Or does it just delay the inevitable, leaving you to deal with the fallout of what you left unsaid? Here's the harsh reality. Silence without action is passivity. And passivity is the antithesis of power. Power isn't in what you withhold, it's in what you project. When you rely solely on silence, you're gambling with your influence. You're leaving it to chance, hoping they'll interpret your silence the way you want them to. But people don't read minds, they read actions. And silence, my friend, is not an action, it's a void. You might think silence makes you mysterious, and in some cases it does. But mystery without substance becomes frustrating, even irritating. Imagine meeting someone who barely speaks, thinking their silence holds some deep, untapped wisdom. But then, as time goes on, you realize there's nothing beneath the surface. They're not profound, they're empty. Their silence isn't intentional, it's just a lack of value to offer. Do you want to be seen that way? Do you want your silence to be mistaken for emptiness? because that's the risk you take when silence is all you rely on. But there's another danger to silence, one that's even more insidious. Silence can make you a prisoner of your own thoughts. When you don't express yourself, your emotions don't disappear. They fester. The anger you suppress, the pain you bury, the thoughts you keep locked away, they grow. And as they grow, they consume you. Silence becomes a cage, trapping you in a cycle of unresolved emotions and unspoken truths. It isolates you, not just from others, but from yourself. Now think about the moments in your life when you felt the most alive, the most connected, the most powerful. Were they moments of silence, or were they moments of action? Moments when you spoke your truth, when you stood your ground, when you made your presence undeniable. Those moments weren't born of silence. They were born of clarity, of intention, of expression. But don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying silence has no value. It does. Silence can be a shield, a pause, a tool for reflection, but it's not the answer. Silence, on its own, is incomplete. It needs to be paired with something more, something that transforms it from a void into a force, and that something is presence. Presence fills the gaps that silence leaves. Presence gives meaning to your quiet moments, making them deliberate instead of passive. Presence turns silence into a statement, not an omission. Presence is the bridge between what you withhold and what you project. And that bridge, it's what makes you unforgettable. So yes, silence is powerful, but its power is limited. It can start the conversation, but it can't carry it. It can create space, but it can't fill it. It can make them wonder, but it can't make them understand. Silence, by itself, is not enough. And if you've been relying on it, hoping it will save you, elevate you, or define you, then it's time to rethink your strategy, because silence alone will never make you truly powerful. But when you combine it with presence, that's when you become unstoppable. Number 3. The strategy better than silence. Presence is the evolution of silence. It's what silence wants to be, but never could achieve on its own. Silence opens the door, but presence walks through it, takes control, and owns the room. Presence isn't about filling the air with noise or words. It's about filling the space with undeniable energy. It's about making them feel you without needing to say a word. When you master presence, you don't just participate in the world, you dominate it. Presence begins with intention. Most people drift through life, reacting to whatever comes their way. They let their emotions dictate their actions, their insecurities control their choices, and their fear hold them back. But presence demands the opposite. Presence is about acting with purpose. It's about walking into every room, every interaction, every conversation with clarity about who you are, what you want, and the impact you intend to leave behind. In relationships, presence changes everything. Think about the people who've truly captivated you. Was it their words that stayed with you? Or was it their energy, their ability to make you feel seen, heard, valued? Presence is what makes someone unforgettable. It's the way they look at you, not just glancing, but truly seeing you. It's the way they listen, not just waiting for their turn to speak, but absorbing your words as if nothing else matters. And when you embody presence, you become that person, the one they can't stop thinking about, the one who changes the way they see the world. But presence isn't just about relationships. It's about how you show up in every area of your life. At work, presence is what separates the leaders from the followers. It's not about having the loudest voice or the most aggressive opinions. It's about owning your space, commanding respect, and making them remember you. When you speak, your words carry weight because they're backed by confidence and conviction. And when you don't speak, your silence carries just as much power because it's intentional. Presence turns every moment into an opportunity to influence, to lead, to inspire. But let's get practical. How do you build presence? It starts with your body. Your body is the first thing people notice, the first thing they judge. Presence begins with posture. Stand tall, shoulders back, chest open. Your posture tells the world, I belong here. I am not afraid. Weak posture screams insecurity. Strong posture radiates confidence. Then there's your movement. Move with purpose. Every step, every gesture should have meaning. Avoid fidgeting, avoid hesitation. Your movements should say, I am in control. Next is eye contact. The eyes are the most powerful tool of presence. When you look someone in the eye, you're telling them, I see you, I'm here with you. But eye contact isn't just about looking, it's about connection. Don't just stare blankly, engage. Use your eyes to communicate what you feel, what you think, what you want them to know. Too many people avoid eye contact out of fear of being seen, fear of being judged. But avoiding eye contact is the quickest way to lose power. When you lock eyes with someone, you're taking control of the moment. But presence isn't just physical, it's emotional, it's mental. Presence is about being fully in the moment. Most people are distracted. They're thinking about what they're going to say next, what they're going to do later, what they should have done before. But when you're distracted, you're not present. And when you're not present, they can feel it. Presence means shutting out the noise in your head and focusing entirely on the person in front of you, the situation at hand. It means giving them your undivided attention, because when you give someone your full attention, you make them feel important. And when they feel important, they can't ignore you. Presence is also about energy. Your energy is contagious. If you're nervous, they'll feel it. If you're confident, they'll feel that too. But energy isn't just about emotions. It's about control. It's about managing your state, no matter what's happening around you. When things get tense, most people lose control. Their voice shakes, their hands fidget, their thoughts scatter. But presence means staying calm, composed and focused, even in the face of chaos. It means radiating a sense of stability that makes others feel safe, even inspired. And here's the secret to making your presence unforgettable. Leave a mark. Presence isn't just about the moment. It's about what lingers after the moment is gone. It's about the impression you leave behind, the way you make them feel long after you've walked away. To do this, you need to give them something to remember, an insight, a connection, a feeling. In every interaction, ask yourself, what do I want them to take away from this? And then make it happen. Presence isn't something you're born with. It's a skill, a practice, a way of life. It's built through daily habits, through intentional choices, through constant self-awareness. It's in the way you speak, the way you listen, the way you carry yourself. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes, until one day you don't just have presence, you are presence. But here's the beauty of presence. It's not just about them, it's about you. When you cultivate presence, you're not just influencing others, you're transforming yourself. You're building confidence, clarity, and purpose. You're becoming the kind of person who doesn't just exist, but thrives. The kind of person who doesn't just live, but leads. Presence isn't a gift to the world, it's a gift to yourself. This is the strategy better than silence. It's not about disappearing into the background. It's about stepping into the foreground and owning your space. It's about showing the world who you are, not through words, but through being. Presence turns silence into a force, into a weapon, into a legacy. And when you master it, you don't just change the way they see you, you change the way you see yourself. Number 4. Practical applications. Presence isn't theoretical. It's not an abstract concept reserved for philosophers or self-help gurus. Presence is action. Presence is practice. Presence is the difference between living your life and leading it. If you've come this far, you already know silence alone isn't enough. You've understood that presence is the ultimate weapon. Now it's time to wield it. It's time to stop thinking about presence and start living it. Start in your relationships. Think about the last time someone truly listened to you, not just heard your words, but absorbed them. Didn't it feel like you mattered, like your voice held weight? That's the power of being present. When you show up in your relationships with your full attention, you create something rare: connection. But connection isn't built on autopilot. It demands effort. When your partner speaks, don't just nod and wait for your turn to reply. Stop everything else, put the phone down, turn off the TV, and look them in the eye. Hear them. Really hear them. Let their words sink in. Respond thoughtfully, not reactively. Presence isn't just about being in the room, it's about being in the moment. In arguments, presence transforms the dynamic entirely. Most people argue to win. They raise their voice, throw out accusations, and fight to dominate. But that's not power, that's insecurity. Presence flips the script. When emotions escalate, stay calm. Control your tone. Don't rush to defend yourself or attack back. Instead, pause. Let your silence carry the weight of your words. Speak deliberately, with precision and purpose. You'll find that your calmness disarms them. Your composure shifts the energy. Suddenly, you're not in a shouting match. You're leading the conversation. And when you lead, you win, not by overpowering them, but by guiding them. Presence in your relationships doesn't just resolve conflicts, it deepens intimacy. In moments of joy, be fully there. Celebrate their successes, share their laughter, and let them feel your support. In moments of pain, don't try to fix them or rush to offer solutions. Just be there. Hold space for their emotions. Let them feel safe in your presence. Because when someone feels truly seen and valued, they'll never forget you. They'll never want to let you go. But presence isn't just for personal relationships. It's your greatest asset in your career. In the workplace, presence makes you unforgettable. When you walk into a meeting, don't blend into the background. Own your space. Sit up straight, make eye contact, and engage fully. When you speak, speak with authority. And when you're silent, let your silence carry power. Most people ramble to fill the air, hoping their words will make them seem important. But the truth is, the more you talk, the less they listen. Presence isn't about saying more, it's about saying less with more impact. In negotiations, presence is your secret weapon. While they rush to speak, to convince, to dominate, you stay composed. You let their words reveal their intentions, their weaknesses, their fears. And when you do speak, you choose your words carefully, strategically. Presence in negotiations isn't about overpowering them, it's about making them feel like they've already lost before the conversation even ends. But let's go deeper. Presence isn't just about how you show up for others, it's about how you show up for yourself. Think about how much time you've wasted worrying about the past or obsessing over the future. Every minute spent outside the present moment is a minute of your life lost. Presence demands that you stop running, stop chasing what's behind you, stop fearing what's ahead. Be here, now. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Hear the rhythm of your breath. Look at the world around you, not with anxiety but with clarity. This is where life happens, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but here. To build presence, start with your habits. Presence isn't something you turn on when you need it. It's a muscle you strengthen every day. Begin with your morning routine. Instead of scrolling through your phone the moment you wake up, take a few minutes to set your intention for the day. Ask yourself, what kind of presence do I want to bring to the world today? Carry that intention with you as you move through your day. Practice mindfulness. When you eat, savor every bite. When you work, focus on one task at a time. Multitasking is the enemy of presence. It scatters your energy, divides your focus, and dilutes your impact. Presence is about doing less, but doing it better. It's about giving 100% of yourself to whatever you're doing, whoever you're with, wherever you are. And don't underestimate the power of your environment. Your surroundings affect your presence more than you realize. Create a space that supports your focus, your energy, your calm. Clear the clutter, remove distractions. Surround yourself with things that inspire you, motivate you, ground you. Your environment should amplify your presence, not diminish it. Presence is also about managing your energy. You can't show up fully for others if you're running on empty. Take care of your body, move it, fuel it, rest it. Take care of your mind, feed it with knowledge, with wisdom, with silence. And take care of your spirit. Connect with what gives you meaning, with what makes you feel alive. But here's the truth about presence. It's not easy. It requires discipline. It requires courage. It requires you to show up, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's inconvenient. Presence means putting your excuses aside. It means stepping out of your comfort zone. It means being vulnerable, being seen, being real. Presence isn't for the faint of heart. But if you have the courage to embrace it, it will change your life. Because presence is power. Presence is influence. Presence is freedom. When you live with presence, you stop being a victim of your circumstances. You stop being a slave to your past, a prisoner of your fears. You become the master of your life, the author of your story. You stop waiting for the world to notice you, and you start making the world remember you. And when you master presence, you don't just change your life. You change the lives of everyone you touch. You become the person who inspires, who empowers, who leads. You become the person they look to in times of chaos, in moments of doubt. You become the person they can't ignore, can't forget, can't replace. This is the practical reality of presence. It's not a concept. It's not a theory. It's a way of being, a way of living, a way of leading. Presence is the greatest gift you can give to the world and to yourself. So don't wait. Start now. Start here. Build your presence, own your space, and transform your life. Presence is how you create influence that lasts. It's how you become unforgettable. And it's how you change your relationships, your career, and your life. But presence requires action, and action starts now. Comment below with this: I master my presence. Make it your declaration, your commitment. And if you found value in this video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. You have the power to change how the world sees you. Start today. Master presence, own your life, and never be forgotten.